So I'm trying out Hask Volumizing Dry Shampoo. I'm not usually a big dry shampoo fan because I like to do more root rinses, but I thought, okay, since I have been oiling my hair a lot this week, sometimes if I just want like the midsection and the ends of my hair, oiled. I think it's a better angle. Yeah. So you just take this, it says to shake it. And you just put some in your roots right here, and you kind of rub it in. And I personally, I'm just doing my thing as I brush and comb my hair. Like first I'm combing my hair. I'm starting bottom, working my way up. We don't need to rush, we can take our time. Just, take our time detangling and combing out our hair, right? No rushing involved, right? That's my motto. When it comes to long hair, spend as much time as you want on it. Take your time. Anybody that tells you to rush, bump. Goodbye. We don't care. See, I don't do hair police. I don't do long hair police. So if anybody says, oh, you should be doing it faster, I'm like, really? Bump. Bye. Because they want, like, there's always, how about this? How about this? Do long hair the way it works for you. Don't be in a rush, I say. Take your time combing out your hair. There's no rush. You can take as long as you want on it. It's fun to take your time. Oh, this is the hair channel where I just brush my hair. There's no telephone. I don't even use my telephone. That's what. Are you here for the hair? Are you here for the telephone? No telephone. I don't have a telephone. You also have to kind of get assertive sometimes too, because I'm like, I love the super fans of my channel, like people that are here just to see my hair videos, like to really just appreciate hair videos that I share for the public. And that's nice that people say like phone, but you need to know people in the real lifetime. I think you need to get to know people in real life, like people you bump into every day. And those are the people that you talk to. I don't. Safety tip: don't give anybody over the internet your phone number unless you've known them for a bit or talked to them. And to be honest with you, it never feels right to me because I've tried it before, and it doesn't feel good because I'm like, I'm missing something. Like I'm missing some sort of connection with somebody, like where I feel like it's real, where I feel like I have something in common with someone. So yeah, I don't give out my number online. I don't do online dating. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm here to share long hair videos, but yeah, I don't do any of that other stuff. Giving out numbers. It's just not me. Like I think when you meet people in real life, there's a connection, you can get to know them. I've never ever felt good or great really damn happy about the online dating thing, or just whenever I've given somebody my number. It never made me feel good on the inside. So I go with like what makes me feel good, what makes me feel happy, secure and triumphant. Especially being more of an introvert person. It's just people you meet on a daily basis in your daily life. Where it's natural and organic. Where yeah. So that might work for some people. I'm not saying you can't do online dating. I just making hair videos. I'm not giving out my number. You always have to do like what makes you feel really super happy, like too, I think. And to me, it's having long hair. And it's like wearing dresses and just being feminine in my own way. Like one thing I've noticed about people with long hair, like I noticed that they're feminine in their own ways, but a lot of them wear pants all the time. I wear leggings, but I love to wear dresses, and that's just my style. Like I love long hair and dresses, and sometimes I wear shirts that I've made with skirts and my long hair. Like that is my style. I just have my own little style that's kind of unique to me. And I've had people ask me before, like, "Oh, how did you put that together?" And I'm like, I don't know. I just have an intuitive sense of things. Like, okay, my style is not exactly retro. Like this is a retro inspired like 1950s style dress, but everybody, when they think about the 1950s, they think like Leave It to Beaver and really like just like white picket fence. But the 50s, like any other generation, had many different people in it. And I like 1940s, 50s A-line full style skirts. That's just kind of my thing. I also sometimes will wear like shorter skirts, but if I do, like I wear leggings underneath them because look, if you're 19 and you're really skinny like my niece or something, she's 18. She can definitely wear a short skirt, but not me. I'm like, no. Nobody wants to see me wear a short skirt. I mean, maybe sometimes, but not generally speaking. It's not. You can pull off that look for a bit, but I think I like shorter skirts that kind of have a flare to them. But I just think they're cuter on somebody my age with leggings. But that's just my take on it. And I've always liked that anyway, like layering things, and sometimes just leggings with shirts and pencil skirts. I love pencil skirts, like with different tops. I love lacy tops. You see in a lot of my videos, I wear things that are very lacy. That's a big component in my style. I really love lace. So I don't know what I think about this. I guess like if you just want to get some of the oil out of your hair. I mean, the thing is though, is it has some oil in it, which I just find kind of funny. I think what it was I just kind of absorb. I think I would make my own though in the future. This is why I buy these occasionally, but I don't really love them. Like this one I like better than another one I bought. I think it was L'Oreal or something. I don't even remember the brand. I'd have to go back and look at the video. I ended up giving it to somebody I used to help at the time, which by the way, I don't help this person anymore because like at the time I thought, oh, I'm helping this person and it's really nice. Like she doesn't have anybody to help her. But then I slowly began to realize this is an interesting story. She wanted like to take over my entire life and she wanted to make me her helper. Okay. And during that time period, early 2019, I wasn't even making as many videos or working on my blog as much as I wanted because I thought, oh, I'm helping my neighbor. And I felt so bad for her because I thought her kids don't help her. Her kids are selfish. But then I slowly began to realize one of her daughters actually would come help her, but she would tell her daughter it wasn't good enough. Like if her daughter would come over at 7 o'clock at night and say, I'll help you take a bath because, she's kind of disabled. So rather than actually take a bath, she would tell her daughter, it's too late at night, I can't take a bath now. And I was thinking she really needed to bathe, like honestly. And her daughter was there to help her. And I realized something, she kind of would scream at her daughter. And I was starting to feel uncomfortable because they were like having a family feud, and I realized the daughter was staying away. She's like, oh, well, the friend can go shopping with her and help her do things like clean her yard. And I'm like, I already work. I just don't want to do this all the time. And it became like there were no boundaries. She'd call me at 7 in the morning and be like, hey, like, come on over. And sometimes I'd be brushing my hair and she would call me. And like, she was a nice enough person, but I just decided I don't want to be somebody's helper, And then I realized too, I always felt bad for her. I'm like, why are these people charging her to do this? And I started realizing they're charging her to do this because your time is precious unless you just want to spend all your time helping someone for free. But I got burned out, like really burned out. And one day I just told her, I can't do it anymore. And so she went back to having her daughter or hiring someone to do that. So I've given her, it's a long story. I gave her the dry shampoo because I didn't like that one. This one's a little bit better. I think this one's not so bad. But I guess I just like to share stories during my live stream. I will help people, but I don't want to help somebody for free. Especially like when they don't think I have a life or anything else in mind to do. Like she just thought I could drop everything when I had a day off and do things for her. And she would always talk about her schedule. And she wasn't working, but she would be insulted if a neighbor would stop by to say hi. And she's like, oh, I have a schedule. I need to do things. And I was thinking, but you have me over here helping you. And it just got to the point, if you want to do things in your free time, and you don't want to help somebody for free, that's okay. I know we're taught in our society, people are like, oh, you must do volunteer work to be a good person, like to help people and volunteer at these organizations. But during the pandemic, there were some organizations that continued to volunteer, but a lot of volunteer work fell to the wayside. And this is kind of my thing. You don't have to volunteer to be a good person. And I've always believed that. That's probably controversial to some people, but it's true because you can actually help people if you want to. Or let's say you're doing some business things, like you're a blogger and you can help your fellow blogger friend and you can help each other. And okay, you're making money doing that, but that doesn't mean that your time is less valid and you're doing something less valid just because you're not volunteering. Look, I have nothing against volunteer work. It's great. And if it gives you a purpose, that's wonderful. But I think where they make people think everybody has to volunteer to find a purpose, I don't agree with that because I've always had a purpose. Like, I love working on my art projects and my blog when I get around to it. Like, I haven't been drawing as much. I am working on a drawing where I'm trying to refine the hands of Harem Sultan. And I don't show the drawing process right away because I'm different than other people. Like, I don't feel like I have to rush. I take my time. And I don't share something until I'm happy with it. Like, when it comes to art, that's just how I am. I'm not a professional artist, so I don't feel pressured to mass produce things. Like, I'm just drawing for me at my own pace. Now in 2015, I was doing a lot of art actually because I was really into it and I just realized I have to get back on it. Had a couple things happen this week that kept me from doing some stuff I wanted to do. Just, it kind of is running in this thing. It's not about helping a neighbor, but it's just about me. I've decided at this point in my life, it's so selfish. People think it's so selfish when you say this, but I want to start doing more things just for myself and not letting my time or my energy be compromised by other people. Because you can help people, you can give them ideas, you can support them, but then there comes a time when if somebody's doing something that's self-destructive and they don't take your advice and they just don't care about what you think, there just comes a day that you're like, you need to sort out your own life, okay? And it kind of was that way with my neighbor. And just sometimes too, like, there can just be situations where, I don't know, it can be a family member or something, and they might not respect your time, okay? And they don't want to do things to improve their life. And sometimes it sounds horrible, but sometimes you just have to take a stance and be like, well, you need to do things to improve your life. You need to work on having life goals. You can't just expect other family members to pull you along. So I do believe in family, but it does kind of make me think about that movie or the series we're watching, the Korean series, It's Okay Not to Be Okay, with the younger brother who's actually kind of like the big brother taking care of the autistic older brother. There just comes a time sometimes. Family is important, but you can't sacrifice your whole life to do things for people. So sometimes you just have to start drawing a line in your life. You're like, okay, I'll be helpful, I'll be there for people, but I don't feel guilty if I'm not doing this, this, and this. It's okay to work on your own stuff, It doesn't make you a bad person. I know, and I wonder if people realize with the pandemic, like with a lot of volunteer work being gone and people being told that they kind of have to do things on their own. I wonder if people are beginning to see that. I mean, it's not that we couldn't communicate with each other, but if people are first being told now, like, oh, like, you need to social distance because, like, you can't gather in a church and you can't gather in a group, and you have to do things distantly. Like, when it becomes to a health crisis, like, that becomes mandatory, it kind of makes me think all along, I like having a few friends, but it reinforces what I believed all along, that you don't have to be part of a big group or a volunteer organization to have a purpose in your life. Like, you could be very helpful to other people without saying I volunteer. There's a lot of people that help others, but nobody knows about it because they just do it and it's quieter, or they just help friends and they help each other and they don't have to call it volunteering. They can just call it being a good person. Kind of like, I don't know, how do I put it? Like Syrian Lebanese culture where people buy each other lunch or just like act very hospitable towards each other. I don't know, or things like my dad did, like where he would just give somebody a ride if they were walking, like just being hospitable. Like I don't think you have to call it volunteer work all the time. You don't have to sacrifice yourself completely to be a kind person. You can have a purpose without like saying I do this, this, and this publicly. Look, I still use social media, but lately I post a lot less on it because it's just so negative. Like it's been negative for years, but right now it's just like, oh, do this way. Like you're not talking about this or like just posting things. Like people are posting a lot of things that aren't even about themselves. It's not about themselves. It's just about like some opinion on something or other, which may be fact based to some degree, but they're just like going off on each other, and I just don't think it's healthy personally. So I'm like, I don't personally see any desire to get involved in that every day. Let's do some of this. But I'm also starting to set some boundaries with myself because I realize there's a lot of things I do in my life that I want to do in my life, and I can't let other people do or their shenanigans or like their disinterest in trying to remedy something in their own life like impinge upon my energy and time. Okay. Because I don't want to sound hypocritical, but it did again this week. Like where there was an incident where like somebody decided to do something and I kept trying to help them, telling them to do things a better way or to try and like work on this certain thing or to like think about what their life goals would be. But this person just doesn't want to listen to me. Okay. But they keep doing these things that cause a lot of friction and a lot of drama. And I've come to the point that I'm like, you know what? I'll give you ideas, I can help you, but I will no longer again run out of my way to like be there all the time. Like so yeah. I'm not gonna go way too into it, but I think it has to do with family members and your boundaries and how like if you have a family member that just doesn't want to better themselves in any way and they blame others for all their problems, or they're refusing to help themselves or seek help for something, you can't rescue them all of their life. They need to work on themselves, and I really come to that conclusion because I'm not like personally, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life trying to encourage people who I gave them ideas, and I'm not saying like I'm perfect and like I'm always working on things. I'm not saying anybody's perfect, everybody's flawed, they're human. But I do think that if there's a pattern in your life and you keep doing things that are becoming, I don't know, self-destructive, or you blame somebody in the past who said something to you for a reason that, you can't move on from that event, I think you need to go to therapy or something, or you need to seek out some sort of help. I just think as a family member, sometimes you have to have a boundary for these things because people will impinge upon your time. Like that neighbor I was talking about, like she got to the point where she was starting to do that. Like she even was saying I was her daughter, that I was better than her daughter. So I've had that happen in the past where this probably doesn't happen with other people, but with somebody like me where I'll help somebody. I think they're like, oh wow, you're really nice. You'll help me do everything. So I finally realized I have to have boundaries, and I have a few really good, solid friends that always have my back. And I realized that those people, like, they've pointed these things out to me before. So I'm like, it's just coming to the point that I am dedicating more time to myself and having more boundaries with people who I will maybe still give them suggestions, but I'm not going to bail out people who refuse to work on themselves, you know? So I want to go into the details of it, but I think you kind of get it. Like if you have a family member that's always kind of doing things and they don't want to like do any kind of self-improvement, it kind of bothers me a bit because I'm at the point in my life where I want self-improvement. Like there are areas I think like, yeah, I used to be really good about eating and keeping my weight down. And I'm trying to be more consistent about that again, you know? So I'm moving on with my life. I'm gonna be trying to be more consistent about eating a really healthy, balanced diet and working on my hobbies, which translated to my blog. And I will not like participate in drama fests that if a family member wants to do things for attention and maybe I won't participate in these things anymore because they need to at the end of the day work on themselves. And I realized this week after being drained once again, like I wanted to do more hair videos, but sometimes I don't get to finish editing something because something silly comes up and I'm done dealing with that kind of thing. So anyway, I guess what I'm just trying to say at the end of the day is you should just work on yourself sometimes. And if a family member or a close friend doesn't take your advice or they don't want to improve their life, sometimes you just have to draw a line and be like, well, I can't bail you out next time. If you're going to do this thing that creates like friction or is just like not healthy, you need to get therapy or you need to maybe go back to school or you need to get a hobby. You need to do things. You can't just, because I guess that's the thing that really always bothered me is that people that just have so much free time on their hands and they have no interest or no purpose on their own, you know? People can do whatever they want, just don't expect me to bail you out anymore, you know? That's all I'm saying. So that is what I was kind of working on this week. Once again, more silly stuff. Never go exactly into the details because it's not that interesting. I'll put in here saying that you need to have boundaries with your family members. You really do. Because they will, some people will take advantage of, like, if you want to help them, they really will. And you don't need that in your life. And you're not a bad person if you want to do something for yourself. It doesn't mean you can't help people. It just means it's okay to invest in things that make you feel like more complete too, you know? Anyway, those are my thoughts for the day and thanks for watching.